What's going on, guys? Megagig back with another video. We are doing a build video today of the Necromancer. So excited about this build. This is the first set that I've gotten, the first build that I've gotten all of the gear to do for him. I've been hard at work on him since I did the stream the other day. And the build is the Grace of Inarius, or the Bone Armor build as it's more commonly referred to. And this build, to me, probably why I like it so much, kind of reminds me of the Barbarian Whirlwind build in a way, just because you have stuff whirlwinding around even though you're not whirlwinding around yourself. Real quick, before we get into it, I do want to give a shout out to Red Benji here. He joined me in the stream along with Shadowstorm, and they helped me get to 70, which was really nice of them. And then I was with Benji the other day, and we were farming some gear. He helped me get a couple pieces of gear for this build, and might have been one or two for another build as well. So huge thanks and shout out to him, because that armor, that there were a couple pieces that dropped that he gave me that helped me get to this quicker. So yeah, big thanks to him. Moving on to the build. Super fun build. Anyways, Grace of Inarius, you're going to need the full 6-piece set. You don't want to be using a Ring of Royal Grandeur on this build, and we'll go into that later on when we get to the cube. The 2-piece set bonus, bone armor damage is increased by 1,000%. That's on top of the 125% that it already does. And then bone armor, the 4-piece set bonus, bone armor grants an additional 2% reduction per enemy hit. That's on top of the 3% that's already here, so that's 5% reduction per enemy hit. And then the 6-piece set bonus, this is where you really get your AoE damage. Bone armor also activates a swirling tornado of bone, which this is the part that kind of reminds me of the Whirlwind build. And damaging nearby enemies for 750% weapon damage, and increasing the damage they take from the Necromancer by 2,750%, or 2,750%. That is a huge bonus to damage, and that's from all Necromancer sources, all damage coming from the Necromancer, including legendary gems and everything. So that is the set pieces you're going to need. You may notice that as we go through the gear, some of my stats aren't re-rolled how they should be, and that's because I ran out of veiled crystals to re-roll them, so pay no attention to that. For the weapon, you're going to want the Reliana's Shadow Hook. For the bonus of that, every point of maximum essence, not current essence you have, but maximum essence, increases your damage by 0.5%, and bone spikes generate 5 additional essence. Yeah, it's anywhere from 2 to 5, but the bone spikes, we're not really going to be using that part because we're not using the bone spike skill. For the rings, you're going to want the Crisbin Sentence. You deal between 75 and 100% increased damage against slowed enemies, or triple this bonus against enemies affected by any other type of control pairing effect. So if they're slowed, in my case, they're going to do 93% increased damage. If they're stunned, it's going to be not 100%, but 3 times that damage. So you do want to see if you can get a 100% roll on this, so it does deal triple. So it does deal the full 300%. And then, of course, we're using the Traveler's, or the Compass Rose and the Traveler's Pledge for the Endless Walk set. And then for the belt, we're using Dainty's Binding. You gain an additional 46% damage reduction when there is an enemy affected by your Decrepify, what is it, Hex or Curse, that's what it is, yeah. So yeah, you definitely want this. It's just more and more toughness. And then we're also using Parthian Defenders. Each enemy stunned within 25 yards, reducing your damage taken by 1%, whatever you have rolled on yours. I've got the lowest rolled here, unfortunately. But it's still pretty good. And this is super good because we're going to have a lot of stuns in this build that we'll go over later on in the skills. As for the legendary gems, you're going to be using Bane of the Trapped and Pain Enhancer. Pain Enhancer, now I've done a lot of looking into this on different sites and reading up. And Pain Enhancer, we use it on our Barbarian, but not really for the bleed effect. On the Whirlwind build, we use it for the increased attack speed effect. Well, on here, because it's getting boosted by our 6-piece bonus here, that is a huge, huge bleed effect, even if it is over 3 seconds. You can probably swap this out for Bane of the Stricken if you want, because Bane of the Stricken is still really, really good. But because your 6-piece set is amplifying damage so much, you want damaging gems. So this is another damage multiplier, and then we've also got the Pain Enhancer. And then the third one, a gem that doesn't hardly ever get used, is making a comeback, the Myrian Teardrop of the Star Weaver. Now, this is a gem I used way back in the day, or well, when I first started playing again, just because 15% chance on hit to smite a nearby enemy for whatever percent you have roll at whatever level it is. Mine's 1500% in that case as holy, and it heals you for 3% of your maximum life. So that is really, really nice. And you also smite a nearby enemy every 3 seconds. Now that 15% chance on hit is going to be proccing from your bone NATO, I guess, basically, and as well as all of your other skills. And then that 1500% or whatever damage you have on there is also, again, going to be amplified by your 6-piece bonus set. So these two gems all of a sudden are doing massive amounts of damage on top of the bonus that you're getting from the Crisbin Sentence. And then, so that's the gear, that's the gems. On top of those damage bonuses, we also have Tragoul's Corroded Fang. You can switch this out. You can switch these two out if you like. It's really whatever one you have best rolled. But the Cursed Scythe rune for Grim Scythe now has a 100% chance to apply a curse instead of the 15% chance. And you also deal another 200% increased damage to cursed enemies. So that's another damage multiplier. So we're just increasing our damage all around. And it's really, really... I just finished this build, and I'm already just blowing through 70s, almost like it's nothing. Unless I screw up or get stuck and then die. But normally it's just... I'm blowing through 70s with even half the time left, and I will show you guys after we get done going over the build. You're going to also want the Aquila's Cuirass. While above 90% primary resource, all damage taken is reduced by 50%. We're not really using any essence in this build. Bone Armor and Decrepify both do use a little bit of essence, but we're going to gain it all back with 1 or 2 hits of Grim Scythe, and we're going to stay over 90% resources the entire time. And then you're also going to want the Wisdom of Kalan. Increase the maximum stacks of Bone Armor by 5. So once you get the 4-piece set bonus of this, and then you're increasing the stacks by 5, this is going to reduce your damage by 75%. So that's definitely something you're going to want to use. Some people have said that you can take a Unity instead and give it to your follower, which my follower doesn't have anything right now except an Oculus ring. You can, but this is going to allow you to go anywhere without the Unity and have pretty much the same damage reduction, so you can go in multiplayer or whatever as well. Let's go over the skills. Grim Scythe, Cursed Scythe. Huge upgrade to that with our Tragoul's Corroded Fang. So you definitely want Cursed Scythe. And then Bone Armor Dislocation. Bone Armor Dislocation. Enemies hit are also stunned for 2 seconds. So there's one of our stuns I was talking about that we're going to have. And then Corpse Lance, Brittle Touch. This is a huge damaging single target skill. Of course, we do have some area damage, so that can do a little bit of area damage as well, I believe. But it's really useful against elites and Rift Guardians. And then we're definitely going to want to use Land of the Dead. It has a 120-second cooldown, but all corpse skills can be cast and used at will for 10 seconds. Enemies in Land of the Dead are also periodically frozen, so there's another stun going off that, again, boosts our toughness from Parthian defenders, and boosts our damage from Crispin's Sentence. Now, when Land of the Dead goes off, it doesn't matter if you have corpses on the ground, because it essentially, I'll go ahead and cast it, it essentially makes a graveyard and there's corpses all under here, and you can just spam Corpse Lance for 10 seconds straight. So it's really good to have when you are starting a Rift Guardian fight. So if you're coming up real close to the Rift Guardian, make sure you're trying to save Land of the Dead. It's going to help you finish off that Rift Guardian a little bit quicker. Next skill, we're going to be using Decrepify Dizzying Curse. Cursed enemies have a 10% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds when hit. So that's another set of stuns, possible stuns going off. So we've got stuns coming from here, stuns coming from Land of the Dead, and stuns coming from Decrepify. That's really just boosting our overall damage again with Crispin's Sentence and our overall toughness with Parthian defenders. The last skill we're going to be using is Blood Rush Potency. It does cost 5% of your health, which really isn't that much, and you're going to heal it back. And it does have a 5-second cooldown, which isn't very much. This is our mobility / teleport type skill, basically. And the rune we're using is Potency. Increase your armor by 100% for 2 seconds after casting. This, of course, will allow you to get into fights and be really, really tough, or tougher, for the first few seconds, or you can use it as an escape as well. Let's get to the passives. We're going to be using Overwhelming Essence. Increase your maximum essence by 40. Again, this is because we're gaining a damage bonus for every point of maximum essence we have from our Liliana's Shadow Hook. And then Stand Alone, increasing our armor by 100%, reduced by 10% for each active minion. Not a big deal because we're not using minions on this build, so we get a 100% bonus increase. Spreading Malediction, receive 1% damage bonus for each enemy affected by one of your curses. So in big groups, that's really going to increase your damage a lot. And now we're going to come back to Blood is Power. I kind of skipped it for a second because it takes a little explaining. After cumulatively losing 100% of your maximum life, all ability cooldowns are reduced by 20%. This effect doesn't occur, or this effect cannot reduce an ability's cooldown more than once for each time that ability is used. So this doesn't mean when you lose your million life and you die, it saves you. What it means is when you take a total, for me, it'll be 1,030,070. Once I take that total amount of damage, all of my skills all of a sudden will have their cooldowns reduced by 20% on one use. So then if I use Blood Rush, then it's back to a normal cooldown until I take that same amount of damage again and it resets. So that's the skills. We've gone over the gear and the cube. Let's go over the Paragon points. For the utility, you're going to want life per hit, area damage, resource cost reduction, and then gold fine. Defense, you're going to want armor because we're using standalone, so armor boost is definitely nice. Resist all, life, and life regeneration. For offense, you're definitely going to want critical hit chance, damage, cooldown reduction, and then attack speed. And then finally, you're definitely going to want movement speed. You're going to need mobility for this build, and you're going to want maximum essence, again boosting our damage from our weapon. And then if you need vitality, you can put some points in that. I'm at 1,000,000 right now, and I'm not really dying too much. I'm really more lacking sustain and healing rather than I am life, and that's just because I don't have all the right stats rolled on all my armor. You can see my stats here. My critical hit chance is pretty low. Damage is pretty low. I do have nice area damage, though. Once I get more Veiled Crystals, I'll be re-rolling and trying to boost these two up some. And then, as you can see, my life per second isn't very high, nor is my life per hit or kill. And health globe healing bonus isn't really that much either. So I have a lot of life, a lot of toughness, but as you'll see when we get to fighting, but not a lot of sustain. So I am still dying every now and then if I can't sustain out of a fight fast enough or escape to heal up. And this is the only potion that I've found on this guy so far. And I don't have the one that I want, actually. And my inventory's starting to look like a mess again, I know. Yeah, I don't remember. I think I got rid of all my extra potions. So But anyways, guys, that is the build. Let's jump in. I'm just going to do a Greater Rift 70. And this build does take a second to get going because you have to get your bone armor stacks up. You need to get them up to the full 12. But you essentially use your blood rush to get in. Start hitting your scythe for all the bonuses. And your bone armor, of course, is doing tons of damage as well. And then when you start to get some bodies on the ground, you can start just holding down your corpse lance button. And that will do a lot of damage, ripping up those corpses. Let's see what's up here, I guess. And you can see the smiting gem going off just periodically. And I'll go ahead and hit my Land of the Dead and show you can just, from here on out, you can pretty much, where is the gold? Can't find him. There he is. You can just spam your corpse lance without having bodies on the ground. The gold, of course, was hidden there, so I couldn't really find him. But yeah, this can do area damage off of your area damage. And when they are stunned, you can see the big chunks of damage coming out. And then, yeah, sometimes they just explode. So stuns are very important in this build, but thankfully a lot of them come built in. There, now we'll just spam and eat that gold. This is only the third level 70 I ran. I only ran one before trying to record, and then I messed up the recording, and so I had to record it again, but I went ahead and finished the Rift, of course. And each time, once I got this final build, I started at like Greater Rift 55, and then I went up to 60, and then 65 and 70, and it's been an easy increase so far. I'm sure 75, because my sustain is pretty low, would kind of pose a little bit of issues. Damage-wise, though, and toughness-wise, I am just fine. And did I go the wrong way or something? Oh, no, here it is. And so you can see my toughness there, and then when I teleport in and use all of my things and get everybody stunned, my toughness just keeps ramping up. And it will go to over 500 million, which is around where my barbarian is. I don't really want to leave the window open the entire time, though. It'll make me die. Whoa! And there we go. We couldn't sustain out of that. It's not that we weren't tough enough. We just got caught and weren't able to teleport in time. And if you stand on too much of that electricity or poison stuff and you don't have sustain, you're going to die pretty much no matter what your toughness is. Go ahead and use our potion. Get our Land of the Dead. Freezes everything. Gives you a little time to go ahead and kill these guys if they didn't have shields up. But your smiting is doing a ton of damage as well. And this build is just a lot of fun. Like I said, it kind of reminds me of the Whirlwind build in a way. It shares kind of some of the area damage type aspects. Of course, it's not a Whirlwind build per se. And we're going to want to get out of there for a second. But this build does have lots and lots of area or AoE damage. It has lots and lots of single target damage. Whoa! And I wish he'd quit going immune. Can probably use our Land of the Dead one more time before the Rift Guardian shows up. Ranged attacks still really hurt a lot. That is for sure. And you don't have to worry about casting your bone armor all the time because it does stay up for 60 seconds. However, when you cast it, it does do a lot of kind of burst damage as well, and it doesn't really cost, it just costs the 10 essence, so you may as well go ahead and cast it whenever you can. Whoa! And we'll go ahead and get in here. And now we might not have the Land of the Dead up for the Rift Guardian. We shall see. About another 60 seconds on it. And that electricity damage really hurts. Yeah, we'll have the Land of the Dead up. This guy's posing a bit of a problem. He's just not wanting to die. We don't have any corpses around to use our corpse lance. There we go. Busting out all kinds of damage at the last minute. Now, as I improve this build, as the build itself kind of gets finalized, you know, people have been kind of playing this on the PTR, but things can change. The build itself, I don't think, is completely finalized. People aren't 100% sure what the best, the best all-around everything is for this build. Once it gets completely finalized, I'll probably do another video. I'll probably have better gear then, and we can go over things again as a refresher. So we'll go in, and then we'll use our Land of the Dead, and now we're just going to cast Corpse Lance and eat him up. And there you go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I think I went over everything, didn't I? That's my last Greater Rift key. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I went over everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this build and this video. If you don't have the Necromancer pack, I recommend picking it up. It's only $15, and really for what you're going to get out of it, you do get only one new class, but I think there's 4 complete sets, and then a weapon and offhand set as well. So you get 5 sets. So you get 4 or 5 different ways to play them as well, and then you also get extra stash tabs and a bunch of other stuff. $15 really isn't that bad. I recommend picking it up. I'm having a blast with this guy so far. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Grace of Inarius bone armor build. If you did, give it a try, farm up the gear. If you like the video, leave a like and a comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks, guys, and more good stuff to come. Take care.